Hobart Trail Runners for hosting Canadian Mountain Run and Salomon. So, Peter Gilchrist, tell us, who's Peter?
Who's Peter? Peter is the, talk myself as the third person. I'm the Omni-brand manager of Salomon AU and NZ. But first of all, a massive thanks to you guys. A round of applause. You welcomed us not only tonight, you welcomed us in the past as well, so thank you. And it was a pleasure running with you all tonight. I've brought along a special guest with me tonight, Lincoln. Much more athletic than I am. I dress the part, but he's obviously he's the one that can run and show us how it's done. Brody and Curtis, everyone. So to answer questions around Golden Trail Series and Golden Trail National Series, what this is all about is giving athletes, giving the elite a pathway that they've never had here before. To go and we're going to ask Brody in a moment in terms of what's involved in going and competing at the highest level, and not only the financial commitment, but the obligation from a uni perspective, from a work perspective. So to be able to offer that for our elite, for our local elite, and put trail running on the map here locally is a massive step for the brand, but it's naturally a massive step for the community and the sport. So that's our focus, but at the same time, as you saw in the videos, minus the falls, it's a really great party, and that's what we want to be able to bring to not only Tasmania, but we want to broadcast that throughout the region, which will be one of 12 regions around the world offering this series. So you get points from the different races, and then you ultimately go to a final in Brisbane, compete there, and the overall winner of our national series, as well as the under-23 category, so male and female overall winner, and overall winner of the under-23 category gets fully funded trip to go and race in the world final, which, as you saw, will be declared shortly. So massive for the sport, massive for everyone in this room to get behind, to go, to cheer, to be at those aid stations, to be at the finish line. Ringing cowbells, I promise there'll be cowbells that you can make sure you'll drive mum and dad crazy with, so I'll have one for you. But that's essentially Golden Trail National Series in a very brief wrap-up.
Awesome, and like I'm so blown away by this concept, and Salomon, did their due diligence on us, and came down and ran this year, and then said, hey, so we're thinking about doing this. What do you reckon, Pete? Well, I was like, anything that can encourage people to step out on the trails. And for me, Golden Trail will help elevate the sport and the visibility of it, and inspire people to step out with us and enjoy those, particularly the health benefits that we're talking about. I've got a question actually, Peter. Why kMR for Salomon? What was it about Tassie and kMR that worked for you?
Yeah, you just touched on those really critical and crucial components that we can all, at any level, connect with the outdoors. So unleashing the best version of yourself through mountain sports is what Salomon's all about. So we encourage you to do that at any level, and that's exactly what you guys stand for. The protection of the trails, which is very important to us. It's our playground, it's our playground. It's not Salomon's, it's ours. So that's definitely that. We noticed that they were your values, professionalism, your volunteers. I ran last year, and I'll tell you what.
Hands up who's volunteered here for kMR. Absolutely.
I did not know that. But in terms of the support and your team, it was a no-brainer. It was essentially, I've forgotten the name of that path, of the 25k, where you turn around and walk back over the harbour. It's just exceptional. So
zigzag or organ pipe.
Zigzag, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and yeah, stoked that kMR's part of the series, long may it live. So, on to Brody. Mate, you just took out the very long-standing triple top mountain run course record in an amazing time, and we got to hang out a bit in Europe the other week, as in that last week, the last year. I haven't had a video yet.
Following you around, I think.
Yeah, we were following the same events. That's it. But tell us, what's it like being an elite athlete in terms of the commitment that you have to give for your time and mind to stay at the peak of your own self to be able to step up and compete at these events?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I've been running for a long time, so that's one part of it. I think consistency is a big key and sort of helps you sort of get to your full potential. But yeah, like you said, being an elite athlete, or we might call me sub-elite, but some people might call me elite, it is tricky when you're trying to balance work and relationships and social occasions, family, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think this announcement is pretty exciting for people like me who are trying to go all in on trail running and see what they can achieve, because it's not easy to do it yourself. And yeah, we love to come along and do all these races as part of that preparation. And this is a sort of a nice way to facilitate that and be a part of it.
Cool. And so what do you reckon the National Series means for athletes of all levels for Australia?
I think it's going to be massive. One thing I've come from orienteering to trail running. We run for 2 hours maximum, so stepping into the trail space, I think I probably will long term go to the longer races, but there's the emphasis on the shorter races isn't there, which not only affects the elites, but it also affects people coming in underneath the elites being like, well, I have to, if I want to keep doing this sport, I have to go and run 100 Ks. Whereas I think that we should be championing these small events, and people can stop at 25 Ks and really enjoy that distance and do that and not have to go on and run 100 Ks. For those that want to, great, go and do it. But I think particularly at both the elite, sub-elite, recreational levels, championing these short races is not just the race that's achievable to finish, but a race that means something is really important. For me, I think that's key, and I think that's what the Golden Trail tries to do on the world stage. Bringing that to the Australian is awesome. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting to be a part, and I think there's lots of up and coming runners that are some of the transitioning from other sports that are coming into trail running, that this will just be such a groundbreaking environment, I think, and we'll look back at this in 5 years and go, well, that's what changed trail running in Australia. Ultra running is the long stuff, trail running is everything, so let's help everything. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Absolutely, and it's interesting, and I was on that journey as well. If you start your first race, 5K, 10K, whatever it is, let's step up to the half. Let's step up and keep stepping up, and you do 100, and that hurt. It's a long time out. And where I've then come is, well, triple top is actually my favourite run. That distance, that time, 3-4 hours on feet, it's beautiful. And I don't know if anyone else has sort of been on that. I won't do a show of hands on that one. And that's what Golden Trail really celebrates, is that, I won't call them short because they're brutal, right? Like who thinks triple top or kMR mountain run is short? No shows of hands, that's fine. But I love the distance.
Different, yeah, it's different. It's totally different racing over the trails at a short distance, which is super exciting. It's exciting to put it all out there and run for 100K and plod along and finish and really go, well, that was incredibly hard. But there's also the adrenaline and the that anyone can get, no matter what speed they are pushing at the limit they can run for 20K is very different to the limit you can run for 100K. So it's a totally different experience. And I think everyone can really enjoy it, not only the elite guys and girls, but everyone can enjoy it. And yeah, I just think it's so important. I was talking to a 20-year-old last week, and he said he was running the Grampians 50K race, and it was his second 50K race, and he's like, I'm going to do a few more 50s next year. And I'm like, why don't you run the shorter distance? He's like, well, I've run a couple of 20K races around, and I just feel like there's nothing there for me. So I think this is super important in that space. Like, middle distance running is just as important as the marathon when we think track and field, so why shouldn't short trail distance be just as important as a 100-miler? So yeah, I'm super excited, and it's awesome to be a part of Salomon this time and see what they're bringing to the sport, because I really truly believe that they're in it to sort of improve the sport and get more people involved, which is the vision of kMR, and yeah, it's a beautiful relationship, I think, that hopefully it'll blossom into the future years.
Yeah, absolutely. And this may be out of turn saying this, but that's all right. I've been so impressed by how Salomon have approached this, that it's all about community. It's all about trail running. It's not about how do we sell more shoes. It's awesome. Loving this journey so far. Let's do a show of hands now. Whose favourite distance is 10K? So we're just talking trail. Hands in the air, 10K. Not bad. Let's go to the other end, 100 miles. Whose favourite distance is that? Back down, half marathon. Yeah. I'm there too. Back up, 100K. Steve Applewood. Around a marathon. Yeah, a few hands. About 80K. What is 80K anyway? Full marathon-ish. Yeah, 50K. A few hands and 50K. Cool. So guess what wins? The 25K. Yeah, cool. All right. That's enough out of me. Questions from the floor. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Pete or Brodie? And if you do ask a question, we have some cool fine feet socks and buffs. And of course, don't go anywhere yet, we've got the Salomon shoes and vest to go a little bit later. So, question from the floor, anyone? We've got one just here. Cool. So the question was, for the folks online, what's the thoughts around the 9K? So that's the kMR Foothills 9K? Is that right? Sorry, just to clarify the question, what's the rationale around the kMR Foothills 9K? Yeah. Cool. Well, I can answer that one, unless you want to have a crack, right? I can start. Well, yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts. It was a request of the community. So, we do surveys after every run and also just talk to everyone around, what do we want to see? And that's all I've ever done, is really just respond to what the community is asking for. And that was it. It was, let's have about a 10K in an event in its own right, but also something for, if one of the parents is taking care of the kids on the mountain run day, then swap over and have a run on the Sunday. And in fact, talk about kids, well, we'll look at that later. That was my rationale, because people wanted it, and to have something for the other parent, really, or kids to jump onto. Brodie, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's. I personally like it when there's a range of options at one of these events, trail running event, because it means that anyone can get involved, which is the key vision, like you're saying, is to attract anyone. And it's not saying that the 9K is the easy option for someone to do if they're first starting. It is a good starting option, but it might also be a way for someone to be a part of an event when they've got something else coming up, but they still want to be a part of the event. So I think it's fantastic having those options, because people at different times in their life or in their year, or they call it their season if they're very dedicated, they're going to want to do different distances. So I think offering that is a great idea, because everyone, like, kMR is an event that, for me, I want to be a part of. So having an option for where I'm sitting at that point in my season is really good. So I think that's another benefit of it.
I'll add something for the 9K as well. One of the things I get messaged the most about the Wednesday night runs is actually about, oh hey, I'd love to come along to the Wednesday night run, but I'm a bit scared because I'm not sure what it is, and so a lot of people might think that there is a bit of a barrier to entry when it comes to trail running. And so, of course, I'm encouraging when people message me along those lines to say no. And that's why I always try, if I remember, to introduce the run and saying there's no expectation on pace. And so I think, speaking for probably everyone up here, where hopefully you get someone that is a little bit reluctant that might enter the 9K, and even the 9K is no joke. I think it's still got 350 to 400 metres, 350 to 400 metres verted 9K. So, like, it doesn't matter if you're at the front of the pack or the back of the pack, you are going to feel that 9Ks by the end because of the I guess the climbing and the descending as well. But hopefully what we can see is people coming and realising that you don't have to, it's not about coming out and winning the race. Of course there are some people who aspire to do that, such as people like Brodie, but it's also about just getting out there, and once you realise that the community is as welcoming as it is, I guess, you know, present company obviously of course included, hopefully maybe in the years past that, you might find that that person that enters the 9K might enter the 25, you know, the next year and things like that. And I think that's a really nice little lead into other things in the future.
Awesome, thanks. And also so that we could do a 3-day immersion. That was the other reason. And my team hate it when I do this, so I'm going to make an announcement. Particularly because you've got so many of our legend volunteers here. Anyone who volunteers for 2 shifts across the Friday, Saturday gets a free entry to the foothills. How's that sound? Oh yeah, and the volunteer rego is almost open too. Are we on to the next question? Oh, Karen was, no, hang on, we got, yeah, just here first in the lime shirt.
Nice and loud. With the Golden Series that are coming to kMR, I'm just wanting to know if there's, I watched a bit of it this year, it's all televised, like live stream on YouTube. There was some incredible footage. Would you guys do the same with the kMR here in Tassie?
Yeah, absolutely good point. So we're part of an ongoing journey, so getting it up and running, doing simple well, they're all buzzwords, but it's definitely our commitment in terms of what we want to do. So striving towards that level of broadcast, and then bringing, you know, the Euro News, for example, and that level of broadcast is the end goal. Doing the basics really well year one, and building from there is what we'll do. We'll have live feeds, we'll have social teams come out and broadcast as much as we possibly can. But in terms of networks and things like that, we're working in with local networks as to how we can amplify it, but it's definitely on the roadmap of how we want to broadcast it. Just getting it happening has been our goal for the better part of 12 to 18 months. Yes, great question, and you're absolutely spot on. The investment in content and bringing it to someone, bringing it to lounge rooms, laptops, phones when you're meant to be working, all that sort of stuff is the end goal where we're going to take it. So yeah, great point.
So
Will there be footage? Yeah, of course there's going to be footage on socials and whatever else. I can also add to that, definitely it's a journey. And so the study I did through the Churchill Fellowship, particularly in Europe, is that like Tour de France, right? UTMB is like that, and so many other races. Yes, and all the Golden Trail World Series events that I went to, just like, you know, it's crazy the amount of spectators there, thousands and thousands of spectators. So the amount of people, because of the people density they have in Europe, it touches a lot more people, and there's so many more TV networks looking for things to broadcast that the people are attracted to, and so they're a lot further down the road than we are, and so we've got a way to go before full production broadcasts are going to be happening. But yeah, I'm doing, if anyone knows any execs in my SBS or anything like that that have some funding to get support.
That's the question, sorry, I think you had it.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So it's here to stay, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, great point. Yeah, so we're making that commitment. It's not a flash in the pan, it's not a hidden quid component. Yeah, our commitment to kMR and the entire series is ongoing, and that's from HQ, from friends. Yeah.
Thanks. All right, Karen, yes, next question.
So this was for Brodie from all of you guys who do these long runs. When you're on a long run and you come into an aid station, what's the one thing you can't run past? What's the one thing that makes you stop?
Awesome. So the question is for the people online: what is the one thing in an ultra that you can't run past in an aid station, Brodie?
I'm not the best person to answer that. You might be better at answering that. I haven't actually run too many ultras, or any really, in a race. So yeah, usually aid stations for me a bit of flash straight past, so I'm not usually actually ducking into them, because I'm usually doing the shorter version of what was the longer version. I reckon maybe once I grabbed a couple of snakes at an aid station, but I've done 30k races, so. But I have, the other week I was at a race where we finished at aid stations, and for me, the best thing, I was finishing, so I wasn't continuing the run. They had donuts there, so that was that was the winner. But it like, in my background of running these sorts of races or training at least for them, I think the one thing the major thing you want to not miss is making sure you grab something. So have some calories of some kind, whatever that is that you can stomach. And yeah, it might not be a huge issue here in March, but keeping an eye on your, the humidity can fluctuate and can be high here, but keeping an eye on your salts and how hydrated you are as well. So that's probably the other one. Don't leave an aid station without water if you don't have any.
For me, watermelon, and then second half, definitely Coke.
I ran past a critical aid station at Hounslow one year. Don't do that. Then got major dehydrated. Yeah, Coke and soup. Like if you're freezing cold and get a bucket of soup, and if you're hot and a bucket of Coke, yeah, don't drink Coke. Next question, Louis.
Yeah.
How do you approach pacing a trail race versus like on a road race? You know it's going to be fairly flat, and you don't know how technical it's going to be. What's your approach to your estimated time of finishing and how you move?
So just for the people in mind, the question was, how do you approach pacing for a trail event compared to a road event? That was it, pretty much?
Yeah, it's a really good question.
And expectations, actually, that was part of the question.
Yeah.
Managing your expectations.
Yeah, I think it has like for me, it has a lot to do with preparation. So trying to scope as much out of what I can of the course and how long I'm expecting that I'm going to take beforehand. So whether that's stalking Strava, looking at previous races that have happened, seeing what people have run in the past. If I can, getting out on the course so I know what it feels like, what the different components are. Because you're right, it's not like a marathon where you go, all right, I want to run sub 3 hours, I've got to lock into 4:05s, and I'll just sit at 4:05s for as long as I can, and then hopefully I can make it to the finish. It's very different to that. So I think managing effort is really important. Particularly, I think, like, I can speak to most of the shorter races. It can be really easy when you're going over this sort of terrain where you're going up, going through technical, particularly the Alps, you can really get into the red zone pretty easily. So managing your effort and slowing down when you need to. Lincoln's a big advocate of doing the power hiking, which really in this course, the winner will maybe run up, it depends, some of the top guys do different things, but I won't be running that entire climb when I come down and run the 25k. So it's about managing your effort so that you can get to the finish, and it comes with a bit of practice of racing for that sort of time as well. So if you've done other 3-hour races in the past, you know what effort you're aiming for. Some people use heart rate, can be good if you know what sort of heart rate you can tolerate for a certain amount of time, and you can maybe correlate that with running on the road and what pace that equals or whatnot. You can get a bit sciencey with it, but for me it's mostly about effort and trying to build into the race. You've always got more time to make it up throughout the end of the race.
I'm nowhere near as elite as Brody, especially in the short stuff. In the long stuff that I do, don't be a hero in the beginning. But a lot can happen if you're doing 100Ks, for instance, a lot can happen in 100K. So you don't want to be a hero in the beginning. And I run more to feel as opposed to heart rate. I try and not make things too scientific in a sense. And you just got to accept that you're going to have low moments, and it's trying to manage your low moments and knowing that they'll pass eventually. Not to say that you won't have more low moments, but it all comes down to nutrition as well, which we were just talking about, I think, in the longer distance stuff. But it's very hard, I think. Some of the elite guys might be, and girls might be going in with a designated time for things. And yes, if you've raced, like Brody was saying, if you've been able to do recce's and things, you might be able to come up with a rough time. But then on the day, a lot of things can change, either for the better or for the worse. So I think it's about trying to be kind to yourself out there when you're trying to do these lines as well.
So my response to this, I've never been a road runner or a track runner really, so I'm probably not qualified, but I am completely different to scoping. I don't like to scope anything. I just want to have an adventure, like a brand new experience, and just let it come at me, and it'll be what it'll be, and just be in tune to yourself of, all right, let's try and be sustainable. Can I maintain this intensity of heart rate and cardio for the next X amount of hours, however long that may be. But actually managing expectations is an amazing topic, and we just touched on it in the latest scholarships, or the first scholarships skills session. And the beauty of expectations is, and the not beauty, you're unconscious, you've got conscious and unconscious, your unconscious sets so many expectations of yourself that you don't even realise. So this is the world according to Lincoln, there's no study behind it, but you can actually start to wrestle some of those expectations out of your subconscious and bring them into your conscious and say, right, I'm going to decide that I'm not going to have any expectations. Is that realistic? No. But you can then say, all right, I'm going to choose to have an expectation of this time, or this is how it's going to feel, and you can even then have different tiers, like your A goal, your full stretch goal, and then a B and a C, and a bare bones, and then realism might even be down here somewhere. So, but the beauty of expectations, you can take control of some of them, and with practice, maybe all of them if you're really lucky. I'm not there yet, but having zero expectation is also the sole source of all disappointment. So if you don't want to be disappointed, then don't have any expectations. We got any more questions? Do we have any more prizes left? Yeah, Louis.
I want one quick one. I've been getting into running, trail running for the last few months. So it's probably a question for anyone running, but maybe specifically Brody at that elite level. Maybe in terms of the recovery side, like clearly I saw you win at triple top. What's working for you? What's a non-negotiable for you behind the scenes in terms of recovery or nutrition that you'll find like, and just in terms of preparation, I hear the rules of thumb about running the same distance you want to do in a race through the week. But what's maybe something more specific that's working for you behind the scenes? Ice bars, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I guess in this sort of sports sciencey area, it's and all the sort of science behind training and performance and that sort of stuff, it's a lot of the time it comes back to the most simple things are the most beneficial. So all the 1%ers, while they can be important if you're chasing that top performance, it's the key things that are the most important. So training, and then if we're talking recovery, it's nutrition, sleep, hydration. They're sort of the three key pillars, and relaxation really. So just chilling out. So there's nothing too scientific about those things, but I think like sleep is undeniably a really important one, and it can be really hard for most of us in our busy lives to actually dedicate the time to do that. But if you're putting all the effort into training, you need to put as much effort into the recovery. There's no point putting the effort into training if you're not recovering from it. So if you're training 20 hours a week but sleeping 6 hours a night, that might not be actually helping you improve. You might be able to get better out of doing 10 hours a week and sleeping 8 hours a night. So I think for me, sleep is one of the key ones. And then in training, the most neglected but potentially easiest thing to do, because we always just want to go out and chase kilometres, is strength training, which will also help you recover better. So for example, triple tops, when I did it when I was 17, 18, back in 2011, I couldn't walk for like 4 days. And stairs were incredibly tough because I still tried to do the downhill as fast as I did it a few weeks ago. Compare that to this year triple tops, and triple tops is probably the race that's beaten me up the most consistently over the years, because that last 500 meters descent or whatever it is, the 400 you drop in 1.2 or whatever it is just going to destroy you if you go quick. But I pulled up pretty well from a muscular point of view. So I think strength training consistently over a period of time can be really beneficial as well, and it's often overlooked by runners. So that's the one. I'm a physiotherapist, so I like to talk about strength.
Can I just answer that one? I agree, training and recovery should be the same. I don't do any training and then recovery really hurts. There's a theme here, don't do what I do. I think with triple top, like for me, it gets easier every year. And that's an interesting, and even if I do training or not, and maybe that's an interesting theory there that your body, mind, whole system sort of gets used to that event and what it will bring, and recovery just seems to get easier and easier for me and maybe for others. And I do have noticed when people first start out, recovery, like injuries can come on really quick because usually people get hooked real quick and jump in and want to do more and more and more. The body's just overall not really that used to it, maybe. So maybe it's just a muscle memory, body fibre memory, proprioception, whatever that beautiful word is, and all body systems just getting used to the beautiful trials and tribulations that trail throws at you. And over time, again, those expectations, it will get better. But I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think you touched on that's a key thing in trail running, probably more than running in general. Because running is like, as a skill, running is not actually, it's difficult, but it's sort of you just go out and run. It's more the sort of physiological development that's important, but the actual skill of running is, we've learned that as a child and we can sort of improve it, its efficiency and that sort of stuff. But trail running, on the other hand, is a skill into itself, and something like triple tops is one of the most technical trails that you will ever run on. So the last thing, I guess, is specificity. Is the key principle of training in any sport, but in trail running that means running on the trails, which I was going to say before in terms of I can't think of a better place for the Salomon Golden Trail Series to be, and this event is so special because it's right on your doorstep. We don't have this anywhere else in Australia. We don't have a mountain on the doorstep of a major city anywhere else in Australia. So I think this, or a mountain like this anyway. So I think you guys have an awesome opportunity to get out there, get on the trails, enjoy them, enjoy your journey across the mountain, as we always talk about when it comes around to the race day, and get out there and practice the skill of actual trail running. That's going to be one of the huge things that actually benefits you.
Agility, it's an amazing feeling. No packs or heavy boots and stuff like that. Anyway, I think we're now wrapped up for the questions, and thank you so much for the questions, and hopefully that was helpful to people.